It's 4 o'clock. Look.
We have to go by that.
Oh, okay. Disregard.
I like your clock.
I was like, did I just do that?
How are you? I see you got stuck with my favorite chair. I was on the planning board, I always got stuck with that little one. Made me feel like I was 7 years old. As long as your feet aren't dangling,
Now
you're
it's
good.
Okay. Okay, let's get started. Pursuant to the requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been published in the Burlington County Times and Trenton Times on the 5th day of January, 2025, initially posted on the official bulletin board of,
Oh,
no,
wait.
I'm sorry, it's wrong.
I'm apologizing. That is incorrect. This was a special meeting. It was advertised on Friday.
Friday, then that was
In
on
the
May
Burlington
30th.
County Times and Courier Post.
Courier
And
Post,
also the 31st in the Pine Barrens Tribune. That should be sufficient.
okay.
Sorry.
Additionally posted on the official bulletin board of Pemberton on the 30th of May, 2025. Those wishing to be notified of changes to scheduled meetings were notified via email or regular mail. Let's join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Roll call.
Mr. Dewey?
Here.
Mr. Harper?
Here.
Mr. Ward will be absent this evening. Mr. Doyle?
Here.
Mr. Bianchini?
Here. No closed session, correct?
No.
No, okay.
You're reading off the wrong agenda. Yeah, sorry. It's been a week.
Okay.
It's been a week.
Okay, we'll open up the floor for public comments.
It's gonna go fast.
Okay, let's move on.
Coming up, Nick?
Sort of hard to make public comment when it's all only about the budget, but, hang on one second. Okay, I'm Vicki Adams, 613 Sandra Drive, Bronx Mills. Concerning the budget, I want to know why we're just now dealing with the budget, number one. And secondly, I would like to know, within our budget, I know that we have the lawsuits and stuff. Does the JIF, I guess it's the deductible, I don't know if we paid a deductible for any lawsuit, like is it each individual lawsuit a different deductible or something like that, that comes within the budget? Wouldn't it be better to pay it all in 1 year than over time? Because that would affect the budget overall. I'm not assuming I'm making myself clear or not. So like if we have two lawsuits, are we going to settle them in this year or are we going to spread them out so we wind up paying two different deductibles instead of one?
Gary's not here. I'm not sure. I don't know if anybody has an answer to that.
So,
Candace?
each suit would be its individual deductible, but they are not, in this year's budget. They'll be part of our premium next year. It'll be added into our bill the next year.
Okay, so we'll have two, like say two lawsuits come due next year, we'll have two, say they're 50,000, because that's what this last one was. So there'd be 100,000 then for the deductible for next year.
It'll be part of our premium, the amount that we pay for the insurance.
I'm not making my question clear, I apologize.
So our deductible now, we pay a certain amount for every lawsuit. So yes, we technically have money in there to cover that. But next year, anything that settles, that'll be a part of the premium that we owe. They'll add it to that bill. We pay an annual bill towards our premium.
Okay, so the 50,000 that we pay for these lawsuits is not a deductible, it's just in addition to the deductibles we pay, correct? Okay, that's what I wanted clarification on. Sorry to make it so confusing. I'd also like, first of all, like to know why it's taken so long to get it, and then what we're spending our money on, because some of the things that we've went through this year that I've seen, it's like all these little bitty tiddly amounts, and it doesn't make sense of why we're spending our money on those things. So I would like to know if that's going to be accounted for in this meeting or not, those little things.
Can you, like, give me an example?
An example would be the railings. An example would be just, redecorating an office for no reason at all. Those type of things. The ones, I know they have the $3,000 thing that the mayor has to, that the mayor can spend up to, but 3,000 here, 3,000 there, 3,000 there adds up. So is there going to be a certain amount throughout the year? Like, is it $3,000 a month or is it $3,000 a year? Is that going to be clarified in the budget?
Well, it's 3,000 per purchase is the limit. Candace, is that correct? 3,000 per purchase?
Okay, then I would like to say that you guys need to change that and make it a limit of so much per month, because I can go out and purchase $3,000 worth of stuff every day, and that falls within your parameter of $3,000 purchase. So I would say to eliminate that spendthrift, or that throwing away of our money, that be revised, that $3,000 a month. So that our money does not keep getting blown down the drain.
It's not $3,000 a month.
No, I know, he just clarified that it's a purchase. I'm saying I would like to see that changed to $3,000 a month, because like I said, 3,000 times 30 days is 90-something thousand? I don't know, my math isn't the greatest off the top of my head, but those are my concerns, is where our money is going, why we haven't been able to look at where it's going for the last 6 months, because there's been no budget, and,
Well, we scrutinize the bill list, whether it's a penny or over 3,000, we scrutinize it very closely. So things aren't just getting rubber stamped and pushed through. So we do look at everything, line by
Right.
line.
Okay, well, personally, I think that $3,000 per purchase is frivolous and unnecessary because of the way that it's been getting spent, where we've been seeing it getting spent. It needs to be a more limited, not to per purchase, but maybe per month. So it's something I would like you guys to consider. And then just why haven't we had our budget until now?
You'd have to ask the mayor.
But aren't you the one in charge of getting us the budget? So you didn't do your job in getting it to us in time? Way after the fact. Okay, thank you very much, gentlemen.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, let's move into business then. Business for discussion and/or formal action as required for the purpose of discussing the 2025 municipal budget as presented to the council by the mayor. We may take formal action tonight or this afternoon. Okay. If we can, gentlemen, can we start with Shayla and the fire chief first, because they have places to be? So if you have any questions for the tax office or the fire department, have at it.
I'll start with one if I could, if you guys don't mind. Ladies, if one of you could, the only thing I'd like you to do is more for the public, because it took a while for me to understand. If you could just, the cap increase that you're requesting from 2.5 to, was it 2.5 to 3.5, I believe? Could you put that more in layman's terms so that the public understands? Because initially, when you look at that, it looks like we're trying to raise taxes 1%. And until you put an explanation out there, it's basically money that we're just putting aside in the existing budget or increasing that a little bit. If you could just give a brief explanation for that, I'd greatly appreciate it.
So we have a few different caps that are allowed in the budget. One of them being 2% that we cannot raise taxes from last year. There are exclusions that are related to that, of course. From your appropriations, you're only allowed to raise them 2.5% unless a COLA ordinance is passed, which allows you to raise them 3.5%. If you go up to 2.5% and, if you go up 2% and you're allowed the 2.5%, that 0.5% would be saved for future years if you needed to go above. saved in the sense of not real money, it's just allotted for us to use in the budget if approved. Going up that additional 1% would allow us to then have 1.5% saved in a reserve for us to go up the allotted amount. It's not actual money, it does not affect the tax rate, it would just be, it's really a budgeting tool for future years.
And a good example, back in 2009, 2010, I believe there was a drastic increase in healthcare premiums. And certain municipalities, obviously it wasn't budgeted because it wasn't anticipated. They were able to use that cap bank, what was in that surplus, to account for those premiums without having to lay people off or try to get the money elsewhere. So it's kind of an emergency fund that we could use if need be. Candace, does that make sense? Yeah? Okay. If I can understand it, you all should understand it, 'cause
I appreciate that, thank you.
I really don't have any questions for the tax office. Their proposed spending seems in line. They brought it down. I really have no questions for the tax office.
I'm good.
Craig, did you want to speak to that grant real quick?
Mr. President, thank you. If I can draw your attention to line 322, we had originally allocated or requested $20,000 for PPE for the year 2025. We've been able to remove that. We were awarded a grant for $20,000, which will cover that. Also, well, that'll be brought to you on Wednesday night through a resolution to accept the money, and then I'm going to ask for permission to purchase because the rates go, the PPE goes up on the 18th of June, so the moon and the stars are lined up. The other thing is you'll notice we removed the fire truck. We don't think we need one right now. Talking with a few people, we'd like to start that, just to give you aware, so we're on a footing. I'd like to explore in 2026 rechassing our water tender, which is a 1989, the chassis. That's probably all that needs to be done. And then we'll go back and visit in 2027 for the purchase of a new truck. I think we'll be sitting there. Of course, you all know that the biggest complaint we have or need is people. Appreciate the per diems, that's working out, and I see we're going to be able to get that program going. But the CFO told me this afternoon that the fire department's budget for 2025 was reduced by $30,000. That's through our cuts into this year, so we're doing our job.
No further
All right,
questions?
Mr. President, thank you. Am I okay to go?
We're good. You and Sheila are both, yeah.
Thanks.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And Michelle, if the mayor doesn't need you here, you could go too. I don't think we have any questions for you.
Who do you want next?
Perry, any questions for police department, CFO, Tom?
What I had for Chief Glass was pretty much answered, I just want to put it on the record, that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, I want to clarify that one, so if you want, do the chief next, and
You want to do Chief Glass? Chief? All right, if we make you next?
Certainly. Yeah, definitely.
I only really had two for you. One is more informative than anything. I mean, I asked you the one question. I had seen that the amount that we spent on the uniforms last year, and you had saved a lot of money. You didn't use much of it at all. And I had seen that you were still asking to appropriate for the same amount this year. And I asked you a question that, the difference between the $30,000 you're requesting and the $6,000 and change you spent last year, and you're asking for the 30 again. So I was curious if you were looking for a large purchase, but you did answer my question. But I just wanted to put that on the record that I was satisfied with your answer. And if you anticipate that kind of purchase, I think it's probably best that we hold that much aside for you.
So, yeah, again, it was 30,000 last year, 30,000 this year. When that budget detail worksheet had first come out, I think that was printed, in September, and there were things that hadn't cleared yet, so I did pull our actual budget and just saw that we had actually utilized $21,451. But the same uniform that we're wearing right now, everyone's been wearing it for approximately 2 years. So we were looking to at least purchase, 2 sets of pants for everyone, and then anything else that came up during the year. So that's why we requested the same amount again.
Understood. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure.
That's all I had, guys.
Well, the only other we received your answers about the vehicles. Are you saying you can do without any this year, or you know, 2 would suffice instead of 4? Because the way I did the math from the numbers you sent, that number in your budget is 4 cars, basically.
Yeah, so it is 4 cars. We were looking to replace 4 cars this year. One of them we have to replace. It was totaled in a motor vehicle accident. So it would be that one in addition to the other 3, and we would just try to transition those other 3 over to our detective bureau. We took some mileages off of their vehicles that they drive, and they don't drive as much as the frontline patrol vehicle, but
Right.
there were a few of them out there, 186,000, 170, 169, 167. So we were trying to pass those on as well and take these vehicles that, one of our detectives, his vehicle was down for quite a bit, and it just needed some work that, it just took time for. So if we could transition one of those, it would be much better.
Okay. I'm guessing the one that was totaled is going to be covered under insurance. I don't know when that happened.
Yeah, I believe some of that is under insurance, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there would be a $1,000 deductible for that, yeah.
Okay. All right. So, all right, again. So then, if that one gets replaced through insurance, could we then maybe get by with just 3 new cars and cut one out of the budget?
I don't think that the amount, though, when we got that back, the insurance thing is going to cover the purchase of a whole vehicle.
They're only going to cover what the value of that car is that was damaged.
Right, right. Well, and they'll be able to transfer some of the equipment and stuff, right? So we're not looking at a full $70,000.
So in that insurance price, the replacement price, there was also the removal of some of that equipment. Yeah, that was in there as well. But it would not cover the whole thing. I don't know where that money goes afterward, if it goes back into the general fund, the insurance
Right.
money. Yeah, I'm
Right.
not really sure.
Okay. All right, and we're just looking to see where we can save a little bit, that's all. All right, thank you, Chief.
Sure.
Mr. Goodwin? You good? Any further
Do you-
questions for Chief Glass?
I was gonna ask if you needed him any longer because he does
No,
have a long
we're
drive
done.
home.
You're good.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
All right,
I guess Tom's next.
Tom's next.
Tom, I really don't have questions for you. I'm guessing this is going to be more in the mayor's wheelhouse. I know with the increase in salaries, especially for Tom's department, the way I understand it, they're working without a contract right now. Is that right? They-
Microphones on, please.
Sorry about that.
it's a-
CWA as well, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, both GWU and CWA collective bargaining agreements expired at the end of last year. I know administration has, in the absence of a business administrator, has been discussing it with the labor attorney. Last I was updated is that the labor attorney was supposed to be speaking directly with the union president. I don't know if that's happened yet or not, but that's the last update that I have.
Well,
Yes.
the reason I'm asking that, it's hard to approve salary increases if we're working without contracts because, yeah, I mean, I'm the new guy here, or one of the new guys, and, some of the math's not adding up to me, about increases. What did we base their cost of living raise on if we didn't give them they don't have a contract?
I believe, Candace, you were in there, we give them what they were getting the last year of the contract.
Okay.
Yes, their rate hasn't changed. It's based off the last contract, and then when the contract gets renewed, administration changes the rates based off that.
Okay, and if I may be so bold as to ask, what was the last one? How many percent?
2.5%.
2.5? Okay, so all the numbers were factored in 2.5 plus their longevity and stuff like that. That's correct? Okay.
I believe this year it was calculated at 3%.
Oh,
The PBA contract settled for 3%, so the assumption we based off of is that it would be the same across the board.
Okay. Yeah.
We
Uh,
also
and-
took into account what the current inflation is, with the cost of everything.
Right, right.
We know when we go into contract, that's gonna be an issue that they're gonna bring up. That's hard to argue. I mean, everything's expensive.
Yeah, well, I'm just trying to figure out how we factored that in, you know, because if we agree to this salary, and then whenever you go to negotiation with the union, if they want 4 or 4.5, then that's not in the budget, you know, that's what I'm saying. It's hard to agree to a number without a contract. I know we don't have a BA, and that's probably one of the main reasons we haven't negotiated with them, but, you know, there should have been some kind of talks about it. And, you know, we just got upgraded. There was some corrections, you know, that I haven't had a chance to look at as far as salary, so I don't have any real hard questions until I look at the new numbers. I know there were some mistakes made or, you know, something done.
Can you clarify mistakes?
Well, I don't know if it was a
You're
mistake.
throwing stones at me if it's a
No,
mistake.
no,
so-
no, I'm not saying, I'm just saying there had to be some adjustments made. When I throw a stone, you'll know it, yeah. So, but, no, just in general, there were some corrections that had to be made. But since we're on, you know, again, sorry, Tom, but since we're on salaries, when I did go to animal control, we just hired those guys in October, at the very end of October. And I asked a question about their contract, you know, because the way I did the math there, you know, I don't want to say what we're giving them, but, you know, they just started in October, and I was told we're going to retroactive that pay back till January, which they would have only been worked for 2 months. You know, again, where I came from, you know, you either got a raise at a certain point of every year or on your anniversary date of every year. And the amount of the raise that, you know, these guys are getting, everybody deserves a raise, but we're being way too generous with the taxpayers' money as far as I'm concerned on that. And we fully outfitted them last year since we're on them with all the uniforms and stuff they needed, but we're still going to give $3,000 for 2 employees, uniforms, $500 for shoes and stuff. They haven't even made 6 months yet, and we're looking to, you know, we need to be more frugal with the taxpayers' money. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think the raise should be no more than what you're giving everybody else, because the way I did math, that they're getting a lot more, and it should be on their anniversary dates. And, you know, I'm going to say it out loud, we need to make some cuts to their budgetary items, you know, uniforms.
All right. I think part of this may have been done when we first established in-house animal control.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I'm going to guess that we did some discussion on the salaries.
Right.
And when we made the job offers, I'm pretty sure that you have to put a salary in the job offer.
Okay,
We weren't sure when we first did this how it was going to work out, and I'm pretty sure we agreed to hire part-time people because
Yeah.
we had a contract with an animal control agency
right.
that was doing it. So these folks were going to supplement as part-time employees what our contractor was doing.
Right.
Our contractor, I believe, is done at the end of this month.
That's correct.
And these folks that we hired part-time, one's still part-time, I believe, the other one is full-time now.
That's.
So I believe that's part of the reason for the salary adjustment. You're talking about the uniforms. I can tell you personally, I've seen one of our animal control officers in the back twice now, and I don't see everything that goes on, but I've seen it twice, where they've captured an animal that had rabies, and they had to contact the police department and have that animal disposed of. This isn't just a normal job where you go in and you're sitting behind a desk. They get into all kinds of different things. I believe I heard rumor that one of our animal control officers has been bit at least once, maybe twice. That'll take a chunk of fabric out of your pants if you get bit. So there's a lot of things that fall in line with these people. We're not just randomly saying, okay, we're going to give you a pay raise. There's justification behind it. And usually with uniforms, we just don't buy uniforms for you to put them in the closet and hang them up. There's usually justification to buy the uniforms too.
Yeah, I understand that. And again, they both start at the end of October. So, and when I asked the question, before, I was given an answer back that they're going to be given this raise retroactive, which would have meant they'd only been on the job 2 months. So we can't be giving the taxpayers money away. Everybody deserves a raise, but at a timely manner.
Well, you're gonna have
October
to-
21st is when one of the two started, the next one started the next day. That's their anniversary date. Then they should get a raise equal to, not more than, the other employees in this town. That's what I'm
I'd
saying.
suggest you hire, or look at their hiring contracts to see what it specifies in that contract.
Well, who made that up? And we didn't get a chance to see it, so maybe we should see it, yes. Yeah. We have to be more frugal with the taxpayers' money. I know this is just a small department. I understand, I fully support the animal control people. I think they're doing a great job. But we just can't be giving away money. And if yes, they got fully outfitted with uniforms. Yes, their uniforms can get destroyed, just like other township employees, the police department. But I don't think they need that same amount of money again this year as they had last year. We're looking to save every penny we can. I'm sorry I'm nitpicking, but, it's just not right. And I'll sit here and tell you exactly what I think. You got $3,000 for uniforms, okay? They've been in just about 6 months now, okay? So they're gonna need uniforms, I agree. But I don't see why we can't cut that uniform amount by $1,000 off of what that is. Still $2,000 in there for them to replace uniforms, but we're saving $1,000. We save $1,000 here, $1,000 there. The end of the day, we got $100,000 less that the taxpayers are responsible for. Same with hardware. We bought all the hardware they needed to start the job the end of October. So we don't need that much money in the hardware. We got $5,000 appropriated. We can take $1,000 off of that and let them see if they can work within the budget. Yeah. I got elected, and I told these people that we're going to do everything in my power to make sure we don't spend any more money than we have to. There are certain things, big departments that need to spend money, but this is one, we save a little bit here, we put the message out to all the other departments, and we've seen, I see some of these budgets where departments cut well in advance of this being given to us, and that's a good thing. They were trying. But this department, we just can't let it start getting out of control. That's just my opinions on that. So, but I may have more opinions when I get to look over the salaries a little harder. That's my thoughts on animal control anyway.
Harry, I'll echo that with one thing. The 18 years that I spent here, I've seen uniforms come and go, and you do lose them. So I'm not going to nitpick on that. I can pretty much leave that alone. But when it comes to the salary increases, and you have 2 brand-new employees, and again, they are exceptional. I had to use them this week, and they were spot on when they were called. When the trap was full, they were there right away. It was reset. I couldn't be happier with their performance. But I can tell you, if you take 2 new employees and you offer them double the raises that you're offering the rest of the employees that have been here, you're going to rock a boat. And there is no need to rock a boat. And if we are saving money by hiring these 2 and the ones that are covering the night shift, we're done with that contract in June, all that money should be going right back into the bank. There's no need to frivolously throw it away to the 2 employees we have. They're doing a great job. That means they're earning their paycheck like the rest of the employees in this town do. So we reward them the same as we do everybody else. When their anniversary comes, they absolutely get that kick up.
Sorry, Tom, we got off track there. I know you've already made some cuts, Tom. I think you've thrown a few things to Candace to help cut some more. I know I had some questions about, some of your employees. Again, I need to look through Candace's numbers to do better evaluation on some of the, but, you hear what, I'm not just saying this about animal control. Anybody getting more than normal raise needs to really be justified. Yeah, I mean, if they've jumped up a classification, I understand that, but it all has to be within reason, I mean, the taxpayers deserve to get the best for their buck that they can. I know we talked a little bit about your licensed sewer plant employee, but that's a moot point. I understand he now turned in his resignation, so we're going to be into some problems with that down the line. But that's what we got to do. We can't be giving out undue. Everybody deserves a raise, but it needs to be fair and needs to be well explained to us if it's more than the norm. And I guess I will have some questions after I get to go through these numbers some more.
Harry, what are you showing for an increase for the animal control officers?
6.5 is what I showed, yeah. That's the way I did the math.
I'm not seeing it here, though.
Excuse me, Vicky? Vicky, that door can't be closed during a meeting.
It's very hard to hear because of the noise out here.
Okay, I'm sorry, but it's not allowed to be closed while we're having a public hearing, public meeting.
Well, I mean, animal control, I do the math, it come up to 6.5%. I think Danny got the same numbers. 19. I mean, has something changed?
There's their 24 salaries. There's their 25 salaries.
Yeah. I just went off of this hourly amount, and you do the hourly amount, it comes up to 6.5%.
I did the overall salary, only
Yeah,
got 3.
yeah, right. So unless these hourly amounts, and I didn't get a chance to look through,
Yeah.
Longevity in there, because it's only been 2 months.
There's no longevity.
there's no longevity for them, yeah.
I'm not seeing where the 6.5, I just want to make sure we're all on the same page, that's why I'm asking the question now.
Yeah, I mean, I can.
Yeah, no, you're right, the hourly rate is different than what the overall salary is. Candace, why would that be?
I'm not sure, I did not do the salaries.
Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah, the hourly rate's showing 6.5%, but the overall salary from 24 to 25 is only showing 3%. And there might be the problem we have with some of the other calculations too. The hourly rates are looking different than what the overall salary is.
Right, yeah, so, I mean, I can find it in here and see if it's the same, but.
It's too many to go through right now, but, so we'll review it again and we'll have further questions later. But can we, continue with the questions from Mr. McNaughton?
Have you been able to find any other cuts just in general, Tom? I know you gave some to Candace over this week, but just give us an idea what you've come up with so far.
Where we're at right now is we've reduced our budgets from last year approximately $185,000. So we've made significant cuts from '24 to this year.
Okay.
We continue to look, to give you an idea of some things we look at. We're going back through old bond ordinances to see if there's money in there that we can purchase some operational expense items out of that to draw those funds down so we don't put that burden on the taxpayer this year.
Right.
But those are kind of one-time fixes. Once that money's spent out of those bond ordinances, next year I got to put it back in the budget.
Right.
So we did that a lot last year.
Okay.
We're looking at it again this year. Like I said, we're roughly over the 5 divisions at $185,000 in reductions.
Okay.
That's a tight budget for us.
Yeah.
There's a
No, I
lot
will
of,
say, and not to interrupt you, but I will say all the department heads, Tom, you, Candace, Shayla, police, the fire, guys did great with getting your budgets in. We know you weren't the ones that held it up, But just so the public knows, as the budget stands right now, we're at a 4% decrease overall from last year. And also, and I'm saying as it stands right now, because we haven't adopted anything and we haven't really introduced the budget, that's what we're having this meeting for, there will be no tax increase this year. So that's good news. We cut the budget and no tax increase. So that's a good thing.
We've done some picking, as you guys put us here to do, but your department heads absolutely came through this year on their own and made some cuts that we just asked them. We didn't sit here and nitpick like we're doing on a couple things now. We just flat out generally asked them, can you cut where you can? And when they went back to Candace, this is what we came up with. They did it on their own without being pushed, and that's fantastic. That's got to be hats off to them for the job they're doing.
It's been quite some time since we went without a tax increase. I think we've had a tax increase for at least the last 5 years. I think probably longer than that, and this year it's 0. So a lot of effort on their part. We're just sitting up here asking questions. They did all the work, so. Anything else, Harry?
No, I think, like I said, you guys did a pretty good job. Tom, we value your time, so I don't have anything more for you. Thanks for keeping us in the loop on everything. See if you can get that thing for tomorrow, for Wednesday night about the water treatment plant for New Lisbon.
Yeah, I was actually working on that before I
Okay.
came up here today,
Okay.
so you'll have it tomorrow morning.
All right, thank you, Tom.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.
Danny, anything?
No, I'm good.
Right. I think that's it.
Well, I mean,
What else do we have?
I'd like to ask Candace a couple questions.
Well, maybe for Tom. We're done with Tom?
yep, Tom, we're all
Tom,
done
we're
with
done
Tom.
with you.
Yeah, yeah,
Thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
And like I said, my biggest thing now is looking through these latest salary numbers and justifying some of these raises. Yeah. Look at one individually here and let you know. What do you got for Candace?
Thank you. Candace, if I may, could you give me the figures for the revenue for the water department for '24?
What we realized in cash for '24 is $1,866,458.
Okay. If we had all the billing correct, how much more revenue would that bring in for the water department?
That's difficult to say because I'm not sure how much billing is incorrect.
Okay. What's it gonna take to get the mess with the Wawa and Pemberton straightened out?
So I think DPW would calculate it. It would go to Shayla, she would back bill, and then once she back bills, if it was done before the introduction, I could add it into this budget, or it can just be realized in '25.
The reason I'm saying, I think the average quarterly bill for the Wawa in Pemberton is $84 a month,
That's what I heard.
where it should be $400 or $500 a quarter?
I think it's 700, I think is what someone told me.
Okay. And I guess it's over 2 years this has been going on.
It might be more than that, yeah.
Okay. But what does it take to get this billing straightened out for the town? I mean, it's money due us, and it just keeps dragging on. I mean, this should have been resolved when it was first found out, correct?
Yeah, which was a few months ago. DPW would have to reevaluate, figure out what the difference is, and then send it to Shayla for back billing, which we can do for up to 3 years.
And I understand there's other businesses in the same situation where they're undercharged, and there's quite a few residential areas that aren't paying sewer or water.
That's what I've been told.
All right, so what process do we have to come up with to get this straightened out? Because you're probably looking at over $100,000.
Oh, that would be difficult for me to say, but a list was ran, and sent over for it to be evaluated. I don't know where that stands, though.
Sent over where?
Who was it given to?
It's sent back to DPW. DPW,
So that'd be Tom?
they do the, yes, they do
Okay.
the evaluation of the billing.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Matt, I don't know how you want to handle this, but there's a lot of money laying
know,
on the table.
I know.
And
How do we initiate the back bill?
Once it's corrected in the system, I believe somebody just has to let Shayla know that, so that she can back bill.
Okay, so if this was like uncovered a couple months ago, do you know what the delay is?
I don't, I've sent a few emails, but I haven't received a reply.
Where do the emails go to?
Several different people. I don't know if I'm allowed to say because of rice notices.
No, you answered my question by that answer. Thank you.
Okay.
Anything else, Danny?
Well, we have to get to the bottom of this and make us a priority.
That's my question. Is there something we can do as council to put some light on this, to get the pedal pushed to the floor? This is money that's back due that changes the whole budget.
We'll take it up with Jerry, see if we can do something through resolution.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because the Wawa, and I think there was one other that we discovered back in January.
There are a number of
And we're told it still hasn't been corrected. I mean, and I know who was in the room initially when we found the problems. You know, again, Candace, we're not picking on you, maybe we shouldn't have let all the department heads go, but, you know, there needs to be something done, you know, that's anticipated income, like we're all saying. Yeah, and we're asking everybody to try to cut where they can, but also if there's revenues that aren't, you know, showing, that should be showing, we need to get that, you know, done. I guess.
I agree, specifically for water.
Yeah,
Because of the
well,
condition
yeah,
of
I
it.
understand water and sewer is an issue, you know, water, yeah, I know the urgency's more there, but income is income, whether it's
Yeah.
water, sewer. And since we're on that little thing, I understand there's also been some issues. A lot of people have been talking about it. We have cell towers all through the town. And I don't see where they show up on our tax, you know, is it income, you know, revenues? Does that show up just under a general thing, or? You know?
I believe there's a few of them. They typically go through Shayla's office.
Okay,
Some of them are through the tax rate, though.
okay.
Yeah.
And then, okay, well, you're saying the tax rates, because I
Yeah.
understand each cell tower, no matter where it's located, is supposed to pay a property tax based on, you know, certain square footage and all.
That would be more on the tax assessor side. I'm not
Right,
sure how
right,
they're
yeah, and
booked.
unfortunately, he's a, you know, subcontractor, so he wasn't asked to come here tonight, but maybe, Mayor, you could see about expediting that. There's, like I said, there's something going on with cell towers that we should be getting revenues for taxes on all our cell towers in this town. And again, the more revenues coming in, the better our tax rates look. And
What cell towers are you looking at?
every
The
cell.
reason I ask that is,
Yeah, go ahead.
I know there's one in Country Lakes at the firehouse. So I'm kind of wondering if that property may be tax exempt and they're leasing off of that property.
Well, I mean, the fire department may be tax exempt, but the cell carrier is not, so they would have to pay. The company I used to work for had several,
But I'm-
and they had to subdivide off, you know, so many 100 square feet, and they were taxed based on that. And, you know, it's income, and I know we have to have at least a dozen cell towers throughout the town, and if we're not getting that tax rate, again, it's income. It makes things look better and saves the taxpayers from having to dig into their pocket. Yeah.
Our tax assessor, I believe, is supposed to be in tomorrow. I'll ask him when he comes in.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see what he has to say about that, and I'm guessing, just like water and sewer bills, you can reach back 3 years on that, and I'm sure the cell towers are gonna be more than happy to pay it, because they anticipate that, you know, it's a given, and no matter what town you're in, yeah. So, we need to chase every avenue we can for income, yeah, so. please let us know when you find out about that. Thank you.
I have a question. The towers that are attached to the fire company, is the fire company getting the revenue for that, or is it going to the township?
I believe that there's one where it goes to the fire company.
Okay. And do we know what the revenue is?
I do not off the top of my head. I can get that for you, though.
Okay. How much do we give them each year?
The fire company?
I think their budget was 178, I think.
Yeah, but I know that we pay each fire company in the town, we give them money. Isn't that correct?
The one we have a contract with them, I believe it's 53,000.
Per firehouse per year?
I think it's just number 2 is what it's labeled as. I don't know which one that is, though, off the top of my head.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like that information.
Okay,
Again-
I'll get that for you tomorrow morning.
As I say, that's something that's better geared towards the chief, or,
I can probably get that
Yeah,
information.
they got it.
Well, I mean, I guess they own one themselves, and the town owns 2 of the buildings, correct?
I believe so.
Yeah, so,
I think they own all the buildings, I'm not sure. Yeah, because I know the
No, I
tower.
believe the town only owns PL. Country Lakes and Browns Mills are owned by the fire company.
okay, so those,
Yeah, Browns Mills is not owned by the township, and there's cell towers at Browns Mills and Country Lakes. There is a cell tower at PL. and
Yes,
the
there
lease-
is.
There was a lease agreement done to allow for that, to allow for the funds to go to the fire company.
okay, yeah, but, yeah, no matter who they're owned by, there is a tax revenue involved that we should be getting at least that, and any other fees that we should be getting, if it's on our property, so. Yeah, it'd be a good idea to see where those monies are going and, what we were expected.
Because I know the water tower right off Vine Street's got multiple antennas on that. I think that's the one they just painted last year.
Oh, yeah.
There's got to be at least 8 tower, attachments on that for cell phone and Wi-Fi. Just like,
Councilman Harper,
Yes,
I texted our water department supervisor while we were talking.
yes.
And asked about the Wawa. His response was that they did read the meter this, recently, and the bill is going out for their water, right now, I guess. So it appears that the water at the Wawa, the meter's working and they are getting billed appropriately this month.
$100 a month?
Commercial rates, because that's the issue. We were told they were getting residential rates, and it was, brought to our attention that was indeed the fact, and it was supposed to get corrected.
It was
And-
brought to, yes, it was brought to everyone's attention,
Okay.
and it was identified to DPW and the water department.
Okay,
And I haven't heard anything back, so I had assumed that everything was taken care of and operational. I think the only time they really get back with me is if there's a problem where they can't do something, or they have to order parts or something like that.
well, I'm just saying that, as far as that back billing, because that's revenues that the town's missing out on. I mean,
Found money.
there's quite a difference between the residential rate and the commercial rate, so, yeah. Again, I'm sure Wawa won't mind writing a check.
They'd be glad to.
Probably been waiting for us to straighten it out.
Well, we're going to keep an eye on this, so.
Okay. I don't know how deep we're allowed to get in the open public about certain salaries. There's a couple salaries that I haven't questioned.
Mr. Harper, salaries of public employees is public information.
Okay, thank you very much. And, Mr. Mayor, I just have, because I'm guessing you're the guy that approved this stuff. Do you have a book in front of you by any chance?
But to be honest, I'd rather you had asked those questions when our HR person was here, because they're more versed on the salaries, the contracts, the steps in the civil service mechanism. So I rely on our HR person with 95% of this stuff, at least.
Okay, well, I didn't realize, I figured you signed off on everything, and, you know, I figured she just did what you told her as far as raises. But, all right.
Councilman Doyle, I didn't get any schedule of what was gonna be asked or anything. Just like I heard that we're gonna have a zero increase. I don't know what was cut off of the budget that I proposed, so no one's informed me on any cuts, to be honest.
Well, nothing's official till it's all, you know, said and
But you,
done.
Councilman, you announced during this meeting that there was gonna be zero tax raise, so I'm gonna assume that it's gonna be reported on social media and in the news that our tax rate's gonna be zero for the next year.
Well, it's not voted on yet.
And I'm the one that said it, and I said, as it stands right now, it's not finalized yet. It's still a draft budget.
Well, I guess if I give you these two departments, I guess you can get back with your HR person and maybe give us some answers tomorrow about that.
What departments, sir?
First one's Uniform Construction Code. We got a significant increase for a electric subcode part-time employee. And, you know, as far as I know, there was, you know, again, everything's got to be fair. We can't be giving somebody, you know, a large raise, and then other employees who do similar work and work the same schedules are getting, you know, just average raises.
That was a 40% increase.
Yeah, oh, yeah, yes. You know,
Is
and,
that the same individual that was getting paid mileage?
Yes.
yeah, that's the guy.
Should have paid a mileage.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like we took his mileage away and asked him to use a company vehicle, and then all of a sudden he got big raise. And then the other one, again, it's Recreation Department. Yeah, everybody deserves a raise, but, you know, there's one that's getting much more significant than the other. Know the person, like the person, you know, but everybody's got to be treated fair. Yeah, so,
Would this be the recreation coordinator?
yeah. Is there any, yeah, I mean, like I said, you know, I know you saying your human resource person handles that, but,
I think part of it was the individual was working out a title.
okay.
So because they were working out a title for a certain amount of time, they
Wouldn't-
qualified for an automatic promotion to that position. And I could be wrong, but I think that's what prompted one pay raise in January.
Okay,
And the individual is still working out a title.
yeah,
And I believe they just received another out-of-title promotion because they were doing the work of somebody that is a much higher level than they are.
well, okay. Again, I'm not totally familiar with the contracts, but if somebody's filling in for somebody, they usually get like a one-time
This is not
stipend.
contract, this is civil service, sir.
Okay, I'm not fully up to speed, and maybe, like I said, maybe tomorrow, you and Human Resources can film, I'm available to come in, and if you want to fill me in exactly, great, but, you know, we need justification for things, but I thought maybe that would,
As you know, I'm in this building almost every day for probably 8 hours a day at least.
okay. I'll stop by tomorrow, and we can talk. I know. That's all I have individuals right now, and like I said, I need to look over some of the adjusted numbers.
Yeah, I didn't have any. My questions were all answered already. Tom answered them in here. Yeah. Let me make sure. Yeah, they were all answered, so I'm not concerned with that. You guys all good?
I got everything I need for now.
Danny?
And I did get more information from the water department. It is commercial rate.
It is now. What about the back bills going back 3 years?
I don't know. I don't know. I can ask them again if you want, but
Yeah,
they did
I'll be in
replace
the
the
area
meter.
tomorrow, so I'll stop in. I got a meeting up the road, so I'll swing by. Perry? I'm good, sir. You good? Need a motion to adjourn?
Yeah, just, if you're all done with your questions, is this discussion going to be continued at the June 4th meeting?
Yes.
Okay, is there an intention to introduce at the June 4th meeting, so we could be prepared for that?
I don't know if these answers are gonna come back in 2 days to where we're comfortable doing that.
Okay,
Yeah, I think we were looking at the 18th. to
Okay.
address, just to give us more, some additional time.
yeah.
All right? No, we anticipated the 18th, so we're not gonna do it on Wednesday night. But, all right. We have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Don't need a roll call on adjournment.
All right, we're adjourned.
Thank yous all for coming out.
Yeah, I'll give that
Have
to
a
you.
regular meeting.